Well, good evening. If there's anybody out there in internet land, I can't look at my phone that much, so I'm not going to be able to pay attention to the chat. But I was having fun playing. I like to play. And gotta keep my eyes open for, I'm coming home from work, working in Dallas, giving people rides and delivering food. And boy, did I botch things up today. The airport's a piece of work here. Whoa. I mean, I know it's a much bigger metroplex than everywhere else. That's what the issue is. You need to go. If you don't get it right the first time, of course, because you know it. And I didn't know it. So I missed one turn. That maybe cost about 2 miles delay, but I got there so well, I think, and so quickly, so I always go like 10 miles over the speed limit, so I was driving 5 and 80, yeah, I don't usually go above 80 unless I have to pass somebody or something to get out of a situation, but unless I get distracted, of course. But the speed limit around here is like 70 in a lot of places, 65 in others. And then, of course, everything else as well. But it's more than any place else that I know about, except for I haven't been in Phoenix for a long time on a regular basis. The freeway, the tollways and the tollways are definitely like 75 because they're, better condition and everything. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Actually, there's always so much to talk about. That little quick trip. Still 259. I had to get down to 30, I guess, to where I can maybe get a better price, unless they're all that way now. I was getting it for 212, 215, 259, even at the racetrack, and they've been. So I think it did go up. Damn. way. I never came back this way before. Anyway, so it doesn't look like I have 30 miles before I have to turn off this road, so it should be okay. I mean, I know I don't get to what's happening. There was something that came up that had to do with the lower forces, and how they're a benefit to us. And right, it's like the fertilizer. It's like, it's what, but the damage is recoverable.
There's a 5-minute slowdown caused by a crash in 2 miles. You're still on the fastest route.
I didn't expect that from Google. I don't know if it's Google actually. It's the car system. This is the northern route, I guess. Well, obviously, because I was in North Dallas, way north of Plano, almost to Bikini. It's still another probably 20 miles to McKinney. But so the lower forces, the plants being their precious prize, beings that they're literally giving guidance to their creation so that they can be all that they can be. The choice. And the way that it seems like humanity is set up, which it doesn't just seem like it to me, it makes sense to me, but Tiendo certainly, that's where I was first introduced to the idea that the next level is cult. Less and less animalistic. Because we can be really intelligent, but still be very animalistic. I don't know if it's the ego, actually. Maybe that's not the right way to describe it. But it's our genes, right? So it's the genetic mind that occupies our vehicle, that fills our vehicle, that, is part of the genetic code of the vehicle, the ancestry. That's actually, I didn't understand this at first for a long time, that it's a genetic mind. It's actually literally like a plasma. Physicality. And Doe didn't really talk about that. The first I heard that talked about was 1994 while we were on the road, and I don't think I was even at that meeting. That's why I was in a strange way in 1994 before I left, and it's in sawyerhg.wordpress.com, and in another file. But anyway, so it's a lot. There's I'm not I write a lot of words about things, but I was just thinking about how I believe there are considerable number of humans that that are of the mindset that the space aliens, now when I say space aliens, all I'm saying is that they originally came from outer space. And what we're talking about are their souls, not necessarily their vehicles, because we don't know where the vehicles were. Before they died, the vehicles they had while they were in elementary service to the next level above human. The dosage lasted a little longer than human vehicles. So they've been on a search for vehicles, making them, growing them, because they don't know how to make them. The way the next level does, but they think it's just a difference in they've come to the point, I believe, in their minds, and I could be wrong about this because I'm not in their minds, but I just think there's a reasonable potential, just for the sake of understanding, at least for me it works that way, that that their minds would go to the direction of, by separating more and more from their older member's mind that they know came from their older member, they stopped requesting help from their older member. And what that does then, it tells the older member that, okay, if that's what you want, I want you to have that. No, I don't want you to have that, but I want you to have what you want. It sounds like a crazy thing, but it's not that they don't. So they know they exist in a reality that is actually more real, because we don't know what we are. We don't know where we came from. We don't have that that total, all the details of that. Like if you could say that, well, let's say I did my first course in mathematics on Mars, and my course on biology I did on Venus, and this is my history, of where I learned this lesson and that lesson, in terms of the way that human knowledge is organized. But it's the same thing with things that we become attached to and even addicted to, degrees of addiction. If you don't get it, then you're an addict. If you get to a point to where you have to have it. So it's like, I'm an addict. But I said that in the classroom, and I wasn't an addict then. I didn't think I was. That's one of the reasons, that's the biggest reason, probably. But I don't know if it's the biggest reason. Is that I was a little too pleased with myself. That's what T told me. Give something to every student. And she wasn't there when he passed them out to us. she was in another room, probably their quarters at the time, or where they stayed when they were just working with the classroom, so like their office in a sense. So, because if you're a little too pleased with yourself, then you're not asking for help. Because you don't recognize that you're not, that you could be doing better. Better is relative. I mean, I think we all want to be better at things. Make a mistake, we want to, correct it. If we say something to somebody that we wish we didn't say, then, apologize for it. If it's not going to get you into being put in jail, then you can try to apologize for it in another way, unless it's something criminal. I don't want to get into that. Maybe you need to serve your time for something done that's very that's hurtful to somebody. Maybe it'd be good to be just in a cell by yourself with humane treatment, an opportunity to reform. Because what community can operate if somebody's getting violent to have their way, or because for whatever reason, because of chemical imbalances, because of a spirit possession that can even go with chemical imbalances more easily. In other words, certain spirits, minds that are deceased, or minds from the fallen angel souls, those minds have influence, have strong influence on people. And so if you're in a weakened condition with your mental frame of mind, weakened in the sense that you broadened it, you put a little disguise on it with the drug that accomplishes whatever it accomplishes to kind of maybe buffer the negatives, so it feels good to do that. But the detriment of that, I think, is that it has an output. That's 259. Imagine the cheapest gas should be along Interstate 30, right? That's where all the... So I can still get there, although I still got 152 miles. And I'm still on track. I haven't gone off the pathway. So I know I'm rambling. I hope somebody can get something good from it. Actually, I don't even think I'm going that way by 30. I've gone all this distance on this 380, I think is what it's called. Yeah, it's still 380 east. And Thank you, Kathy. I didn't want to turn the chats off because there's certain individuals that are in the stream that want to be able to talk with each other. And to me, I have to be able to. So I just maybe there's somebody that could help with moderation. I mean, Kathy's going to do it, but I don't want to depend on if she doesn't have the mood for it, because she doesn't want to deal with these people that act in these stupid and ways to say stupid stuff. I guess so. We can see how that works. But yeah, there's always ways around those keywords, right? What are you going to do? Hope that it's not too often, and there's something that they've got. It's pranks, like I would too, but I don't know, probably not nearly as much. I'm saying 14 or older, whatever, whatever the ages are of adolescence. Could be 10 years old. Thinks they're a know-it-all about things. I know I'm not a know-it-all about things. I see that all the time. When I'm talking about Tiendo things, I've had enough experience with them to feel like, well, they're my older member. I know, I love them. It sounds like a and of course, like with my book, you'll see in it, if you're looking at it, where I'm too sure of myself. The way I'm talking about it. The way we talk about things is important because it's the programming of our mind. We're actually developing that program that can look at words and decide, whether there's better words to use to convey the feeling we want to convey, or the understanding we want to convey. And it, without trying to taint it, or exaggerate it, or take away from it, even though that's going to probably happen. So like everything else that we have to work on, go figure. Heck, one of the things that Tiendo knew was needed shoestring kind of system, and we put it upon ourselves by our choices. So maybe we need to have some different choices. Have something smaller. I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking about something personal to Kathy and I regarding the little house we live in. The house on wheels. But, $205. I don't think it's open. Gas station. Oh, I'm by the Brookshires. $205. Wow. What a price. We'll see if it works. Oh. Okay. Well, that was worth waiting for. Am I still streaming? Hi, Pinch. If I'm still going there. Okay, it says I'm still going, so I guess when turning the car off, I got another 15 miles till I get to, I don't know if I'm going to get to Greenville. No, I'm way north of there. Yeah, I think so. I've got to go south. So I'm 50 minutes away. 50 is 50 if Kathy happens to be hearing us, me. But I'm trying to look at my computer. It's not safe to do that. So, well, that's a little bitty. So, like something like this better. That was funny. I morphed into something else instead of staying with the kind of genre. All right, so I guess, I mean, I don't know what to say about things. Sometimes I was listening to tape 447, and if you want to hear a lot about what Doe was thinking about what was happening in the world with Gorbachev and I don't know who the president was at that time, was after Reagan, so it would have been Bush Senior. No, Bush, Senior, I think. George's dad. General Noriega things that were happening with, that was the U.S. man for the drug trade. That was all common knowledge then among the people that were informed about it. So, and nowadays, now it's talked about as if it's something new, but now it's happening more and more blatantly, and the violence is escalating. The rhetoric is escalating. I don't know what's going to happen, how soon. The next level's in charge. They're allowing certain things to happen because of the free will. Of course, they've been doing that all along. 1 mile to my turn. And then the choices they do make, the next level also chooses whether to have a hand in modifying and regulating and they know that the space aliens want total control, so that every penny is going to their agenda. And that entails, because they think planetary. Actually, I made my turn with not much consciousness ahead of time. I guess I lucked out. I think I've been on here before. Stay on this for 22 miles. So I just needed to pay attention to that a little bit. Well, it says on the outside of that police car that was right next to me, there were two police cars following each other. Well, not each other, one was following the other. But it said, "In God We Trust" on the letter. I don't know if I ever saw that before on a police car. Or is that just in Texas? I'm not saying that they're not trying to be led by God. I mean, that goes to that subject of whether we need the lower forces to grow. And you don't need the lower forces to grow by my understanding from Tian-Do. But the next level provides them to accelerate the growth. In other words, so it happens faster. Maybe similar growth could take place in 100,000 years without the lower forces. I don't know what it would be. Maybe it's far less than that. Because they're not going by time. This is still 69 I'm on. Anyway. So yeah, I was just thinking of time spent in the classroom, what we were doing, and I was going through the lawsuit and imagining the judge hopefully reading what I wrote, what I provided. There's my declaration that I made, and to help him recognize that I deserve to have equal access with all the information that the class left behind, which we know was their intention. So Mark and Sarah took that criticism of them and stayed out of the public view, mostly, except for interviews, email interviews. trying to protect their security, which is understandable. I mean, it's not only understandable, to me that's a good thing in their position, because they became the focal point of the world of Heaven's Gate. They were running that website, right? So that was a big task, and in their fear of it, of representing the, helping people recognize that the next level, that Doe and crew had a genuine position against suicide. Was their position. They were against suicide. They didn't word that accidentally or as a joke or as a because there were no lies. Tino told no lies. I mean, it doesn't mean that they always said what they were thinking sometimes, because they didn't know if somebody could handle something. And we know that's a reality of being able to, if someone says something to you with a certain tone that you interpret as putting you down, it's hard to accept what they say. It's hard to hear the words because you got that tone in your head. You got that attitude. So, but T&O, there was no attitude. Or whatever attitude they had, they kept it under bay. They kept it in bay because the vehicles have attitude, I think. I don't know if any don't. In other words, we can get our feathers ruffled by different things. It doesn't mean it's wrong. And it doesn't mean it's right. Right and wrong relative to and we wish we would have said it better. That's somebody trying to change for the better in that regard. I experience it all the time. And have. Accepting from a member of the next level, can actually come to the attitude of wanting to accept criticism, but that doesn't mean that they don't get potentially angry with somebody who's criticizing them for something that's not true. And yet, we live in the age right now where people are saying everything under sometimes no evidence, no real evidence. Oh, jeez, big fox! I missed it. A fox or a coyote? a small coyote, maybe. Maybe that's what it was more. Had a beautiful coat, kind of gray. And it was very thick. And I guess, you know, to keep him warm at night. But he made it. He made it. And I'm so glad. Because I didn't want to hurt any of those creatures. Miles an hour. And I'm getting pretty darn close, 17 minutes away from my house. So can I say anything of value in that time? I'm just, you know, thinking about watching the politics in motion. Like when Gavin Newsom came out and said he would work with Trump on getting rid of fraud in California. Well, what's he got? To me, that would be good, right? You could $2.15 a gallon here. This is on 69, which I think 69 comes through Greenville. It's the road to Greenville. .5 miles to go. So, let's see, I don't know if there's really, I mean, there's always something in Scripture that or maybe, actually, no, let me mention this thing that, if I can remember it. You know, there's definitely been an escalation of reels on Facebook having to do with space aliens and like even potential witnesses to interviews done with, and even photography, which I've seen before, some of the things that they're showing that I don't doubt can be real. Because it could be a suit also that they're wearing. Around whatever the vehicle is that they have. Because I don't know how long they've had hybridized vehicles, how long they live. They might live a very short time, so they've got to keep on bringing in. So they got, their program is to provide vehicles by, you know, using eggs and sperm to make genes. Maybe the way humans graft trees and things. Maybe the human body is capable of that. But if you can find a match, I think that's the biggest problem that they run into, is that the body's like having their own individuality. And so when you graft something that doesn't, there's side effects, and so the question is, can you treat the side effects? Can the body still live? Can it still function with whatever the side effects are? So that's what they're doing. So the humans have developed drugs that reduce the response of your immune system. And when they put a new heart in somebody, you have to be on immunosuppressant drugs, right? And so that also leaves you open to and so there's ramifications to everything. But all things can be used for good. So it's not against the medical system to use the medical system. The thing is that where the corruption comes in is that they become greedy for the funds to keep their laboratories going, and not only that, but profiting from it. Literally investing in things and having patents, right? The whole health department. I don't know if HHS has this or NIH has it. I know they have it. They talked about it. Mr. Fauci is very involved, from what evidence I've seen, in patenting cells or viruses or whatever they can figure out how to patent, because then when they make products, they become like a label, right? Like they become like a pharmaceutical company at the same time as working in the government. So how better can you actually control the government except by patenting all the different biologies that there are, and then whenever someone's using that in any shape or form, you can derive profit from it. That's the capitalist system, and greed is the biggest driver, because you keep on wanting to aren't going up for the stocks that you're buying and investing in, then they're not worth as much when trading. And I don't know even how all that works in the stock markets, but I know the general ideas of it, that you can bet on stocks losing their price and not losing, and raising their price. So when it goes up or down, you can benefit from both angles. And there's a lot more to it, I know that, and I could probably even remember more, but it doesn't make any difference. I'm totally ignorant on the subject. But I mean, that's the evidence of what Doe was saying about the capitalist system causing corruption through greed, becoming corrupt through greed. I mean, it's got its value, because then you got the funding to develop things that otherwise would require too much effort to. So you got to be able to. Well, that's why you have a government that's supposed to regulate the funding of projects. And of course, the space aliens want to grow the biology and want to grow the genetic engineering, because they want to. 7 minutes from home. And so there's no doubt in my mind that some of what is all happening in probably a number of ways, maybe even many ways, or have equivalence with Epstein. That the funding of biological research, to come up with the perfect soldier. Supposedly some guy was talking about some kind of a suit that's been developed that can withstand being shot. He talks about the technology of it, and it's got 3 different kinds of thrusters on it of some sort. And it's related to the alien technology that Bob Lazar talked about. Oh, there's the lights. The Christmas lights that are all lit up all the time, I guess. I guess I should face this to the car instead of being like a ghost, the way I look now. Maybe I should put that on and that on. So you can say, yeah, it's Sawyer there, he's there. The old man is there. I got a silly streak. My older member has a silly streak. Once he had us sing, well, we didn't do this often. In fact, maybe we did it twice or 3 times, or like a little talent show. And that's when Already burbled a pea is what he called it, I think. Burbled a pea. Burbled a pea. Burbled a pea. So it's when you take a pea, like, when you eat peas, you take one, the level of the ground, as much as possible, and then you put the pea on your lips, and then you try to blow a stream of air to lift the pea up. And I already did it. I watched him do it. Not for long, maybe a second or 2. Okay, I'm about at the entrance. Oh, here's our deer friends. Yeah, scoot away, and there's the rabbits. A little Mr. and Mrs. Rabbit and children. I didn't see any of them. I just saw one. And so oh, pound. Forgot to put the pound sign in to the code. Now, this time, I am not going to miss my turn. No, right, it takes you to the clubhouse, I guess you said. Right, so I got to stop that. stream. So, because keep comments mindful. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Sawyer. Good playing. Thank you, Guy, Lord. Hello, Ed. Oh. Let's see, who else is here? I was having trouble reading because there's so many bumps in this road where we're parked that I can't take the time to look at the chat and just go through them really slow. Oh yeah, and here's the garbage pail that sometimes I go to. And there's the building where you can take a shower if you want to, but we never do. And there we are. I didn't miss it this time. So good night, folks.